that's the tension we're wrestling with this Advent season. And I just think the texts we have are perfect for the moment that we find ourselves in.
We are at the halfway point of Advent, week 2 of 4 coming up, which, if you were me as a kid, was really just about that countdown to Christmas. But we all know Advent is more than just counting down to Christmas. It's this whole season of waiting, watching, anticipation, which is what the text gets us to, Isaiah chapter 40. We'll get to that in a minute. A couple other things to talk about. Adrian, how caught up are you on Bible in a Minute? Have you done your binge watching lately? Bible in a Minute.
Bible in a Minute.
Bible in a Minute.
Bible in a Minute, Exodus chapter 6.
I have it. So you guys know, it's a way for a double retreat. I did a really wonderful clergy retreat with the Presbyterian Church and wonderful Presbyterian colleagues, and then did a Thanksgiving retreat with my kids. So I have gotten behind because I was serious about not being on my phone, and now I need to catch up. But I'm planning to do that any day now.
It's all good. You know, grace abounds.
Yes,
and
thank you.
it's easy to catch up because for anyone who's like, what are you talking about? Bible in a Minute. It's a daily video project we've been producing here at Riverside. We're going through the entire Bible, one chapter at a time, 1 minute a day. One congregant I was talking to just the other Sunday was saying how she watches the video every day and then reads the chapter, which I just think is every pastor's dream.
Yeah.
So if you haven't, go check out Bible in a Minute. We are coming close to the end of the book of Exodus, and I know we're all excited about Leviticus, right? Right?
Can't
Anybody?
wait. It's like, I think it's our favorite chapter, right? Is it anybody's favorite chapter? I'm sure
That
it's
and Second
somebody's.
Timothy or something.
Yeah, let us know if Leviticus is your favorite chapter.
Well, it's been incredible. So if you've been watching it, leave a comment below. Say Bible in a Minute. Then we'll know you are one of our Bible in a Minuters. And if you haven't, there'll be a thing on screen where you can click it to go watch Bible in a Minute right now. It's fantastic. And I think you have one coming up, Adrian. You are up
Leviticus
Exodus
6?
26.
Oh,
You
Exodus.
just that one's behind us. But then you're not due to give me a recording for a while. You've recorded Leviticus 5, I think, already. So you're good for a bit, for now.
Because I knew it was going to get a little busy in the next couple of weeks. I was like, let me get these knocked out.
Well, speaking of busy in the next couple of weeks, Christmas is coming for anyone who is counting down, which most people tend to do, whether they want to or not, because the world around us forces us to sometimes. But at Riverside, part of our progress towards Christmas always involves the Children's Christmas Pageant. And that's coming up this Sunday. Adrian, this is your second time experiencing Riverside's Christmas season. So what can you tell us about the Christmas pageant? What can a congregant know as they're preparing to come to the building or log in online for Sunday?
Yeah, so what I love about Riverside children and young people is the way they really speak to our hearts and our spirits anytime they have the opportunity to lead in worship. And it's something that we are striving to do more and more, to have folks of all ages integrated in our intergenerational community and up front leading. So last year it was very powerful. So we're expecting another touching, comforting, inspiring Sunday with our children leading. So if you come to the building, it'll be worship as we typically do it, but instead of having a sermon that I preach, the children will preach to us with their offering of the Christmas pageant, and then I will do a message for all ages with them, usually just celebrating what they've done, expanding and riffing on what they've done, and just telling them how amazing they are, because they are.
What I love is that, I mean, children's pageants are not uncommon in many churches, not at Riverside. And in most of Riverside's history, the 7 years I've been here for sure, there were always moments when children were very much in the center of worship. Children's pageant is one, Children's Sabbath in October is another, but by and large, has typically been kind of it. We had a lot of movements. Our minister, Reverend Amanda Meisenheimer, has been huge in helping us see the need to broaden, the invitation for who gets to step up to the table or the mic. But I really feel like there's been a huge shift just in the past, 15 months that you've been with us now, where we've really had this intentional move to, we don't just hear the children on Children's Sabbath, but they're a scripture reader, because why shouldn't they be a scripture reader? They are offering this, they're helping serve communion, because why shouldn't they? And I just think it makes things like the children pageant, the Christmas pageant, feel less like the one-off for kids, but like, of course, we celebrate them all the time, and again on this day.
Absolutely. You know, children are leaders. They are not blank slates. They have opinions and thoughts about Jesus and everything else. If you have a child at home, you know I'm correct. And so we want children and young people in worship to be the norm. We don't want people to go, oh, it must be a special kind of day. And I think this is a liberation message, actually. And I have to thank my colleague, Rebecca Stevens Walters, for what she's taught me about children and their liberation. If there were any other group that we treated in church the way we treat children, we'd be scandalized. If we did not have women or people of color or differently abled people or the elderly reading scripture, leading prayers, serving communion, we would be scandalized. And I think we need to take that same concern and outrage into our hearts and spirits when we're thinking about the place of children and youth in worship. Because by virtue of their baptism, they are members of the community, and so they should be leading in the ways that are age appropriate for them. And so we're wanting it to be more and more normal. The things that we've been starting to do, which is to have them read scripture, lead prayers, serve communion, partner with our ushers to welcome folks into the sanctuary. Because what we are seeing is what you see when other groups are represented. People are delighted to see the diversity, and children sort of are the last frontier of people who we need to be inviting into worship leadership.
It's sad how it has taken this long to recognize this one demographic. You know, for a lot of church history, most of those that list you gave was excluded. It was just the white, straight, cis men who got to do everything. Thanks be to God, we have broadened that, but we need to continue broadening it. And I think one thing that's uniquely powerful about having young people and children participate is we were all children once. Everyone has the ability to see a part of themselves in that greeter, in that reader. I can learn about others when I see someone who's not like me, and that's essential. I need broad diversity of gender and race and every type you could imagine. But a child taps into something that's still here, but I too
Right,
often suppress it. So it's just even a
right,
different kind of need that's
right.
brought to the table when that's present.
Yeah, and I would say, Jim, the other link for me is we were all children once, but in God's eyes, we remain children.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty and the delight and the joy that we witness and experience in our bodies when we have children and young
Yep.
people in worship. We're reminded that they are us and that we are them, and that joy and delight and wonder and awe is what God invites us to. So there's a real sacredness and holiness to
Yep.
receiving communion from a child and hearing the scripture read in that little child voice that we all love. You imagine God differently. It lands in your body differently. You see things in the text that you wouldn't have seen before. And we've had members communicate this to us. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't we want to, bring more of that deliciousness into our worship and praise of God? We do, and so we're doing our very best to usher that in here at the Riverside Church.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of seeing the text differently, let's take a closer look at the text for Advent 2 in the narrative lectionary. This is Isaiah chapter 40, verses 1 through something, 1 through 11, I believe. Yeah. A lot of this is familiar to people. You know, this is the very well. First off, this is second Isaiah. We've officially turned the page, and that really means this is the people are now in exile. So, first Isaiah was it's coming. Second Isaiah is we're here. And then third Isaiah is a whole other thing. But this starts with comfort, oh comfort my people, which you can already hear with some exile ears on there. It has this whole a voice cries out, wilderness, prepare the way, a whole lot going on. What should I cry out? The grass withers, the flower fades. So it's a good one. You should pause the video and go read the whole thing for yourself. It's fantastic. But given that this is a text that neither of us are preaching sermons on, what kind of stands out to you? What sermon would you preach, or how might this even make its way into the message for all ages on Sunday, if that's even a back pocket you're working with? What are you thinking or scheming as you look at this Isaiah text?
So, our children are going to bring the joy, and they're going to, I think, invite us into the theme of peace, which is the theme for Advent 2. But at the same time, I think their offering, the sweetness of their offering, is also crashing into what we're reading in the news and what we're experiencing in our world, perhaps even more personally in our own families or workplaces, which is not peace. We have set the overarching theme here at the Riverside Church this year as true religion, and true religion being that which does particular things in the world. And the particular things that true religion does in the world are not the things that we see in the narrative lectionary text. So there's this point counterpoint happening for us in this season of Advent. So if the theme is peace, these folks have been exiled. These folks have been kidnapped, right? And what does that bring into our mind right now? I don't even have to say it. We're still waiting for hostages to be released. We're still hoping for peace in the Middle East, but not just in the Middle East, in our own families, in our own hearts and spirits, in our own nation, as three Palestinian college students were shot over the Thanksgiving break. I mean, there's so many counterpoints to peace in this text. In the kidnapping and the hostage holding of people in exile, in our current world, in our own experience in the headlines. And then we have the children who are coming with, again, those delicious little voices and powerful preaching to say to us, this is what God's vision of peace looks like. This is what comfort looks like. There's the call in the text to speak tenderly, and we're left with that beautiful image of God feeding the flock like a shepherd, and God gathering the lambs in God's arms and carrying them in God's bosom. There is a peacefulness there that is just so aligned with having children and young people in worship, and that's the tension we're wrestling with this Advent season. And I just think the texts we have are perfect for the moment that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. It is, it's always, you never know what the world's going to be when these narrative lectionary, any of these lectionaries are set up. And then, but it's always so powerful how reading the words and just opening your eyes to what's happening, let alone the context. And we're going to have this Sunday with the children and the children's pageant. It creates such a dialogue between all those different conversation partners, like you're saying. Yeah, that's always rich, always takes a second read sometimes to be like, wait, what did I just read? Does that, okay, how am I going to sit with this now? And that this Sunday, as every Sunday, will always be something rich and powerful with there too.
It's going to be powerful. The other thing that just popped into my head, we're going to be looking at the beautiful children and youth of the Riverside Church on this stage telling this ancient story about this Palestinian Jew. I mean, we are not to Jesus, of course, in the Hebrew Bible, but this notion of comfort, this notion of tenderness, and this beautiful visual of children is also in counterpoint to children and adults who are under rubble and were not comforted and who were not spoken tenderly to and are not going to be in the bosom of of, of human parents who loved them, but certainly in the bosom of a God who loves them. But that also is a heartbreaking counterpoint to what we're going to be experiencing on Sunday, and that just came to me as I'm thinking about Palestinian siblings who've lost children,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it was just in conversation with Linda Sarsour a few days ago, and it again, her family is there. We know people who know people
yeah.
who are struggling and who have died and who have lost and continue to lose in this situation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at these first words of this Isaiah text and thinking of it for the person sitting. I mean, there are Palestinian Christians there who will
Yes.
hold these texts in this same season, and for them to read, "Comfort, O comfort my people," says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. Maybe we can put Gaza in place of that for this reading, and cry for her. She has served her term. Her penalty is paid. Oh, it's a whole different way of sitting with these words that have been here as long as I've ever had this book, and
Yeah.
yet I can read them for the first time in this way because of
Yeah.
this moment.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I am remiss if I don't talk about my favorite Bible geek thing from Isaiah 40.
Please.
just because that's who I am. So a lot of people, preachers alike, anyone will read this whole text and be like, oh, I remember that. That's John the Baptist, because it has the whole "a voice cries out," and in the Gospels that's pegged as John the Baptist. Although the Gospels don't quote Isaiah correctly, they move the comma. I think maybe the Septuagint is what is the culprit here. I haven't done my Greek research to know, but in this text, Isaiah 40, it says, "A voice cries out, colon, in the wilderness prepare the way for the Lord." There's no
Right.
punctuation. It's
That's the
not telling you
state.
where the voice is coming from.
Right,
It's not
right,
"a
right, right.
voice cries out in the wilderness." The voice is crying out, "The wilderness is where the
Yes.
way will be prepared.
Yeah.
Make the desert is where the highway of God is going to be found." Which I was reading some commentaries, because who doesn't do that in their free time? And it was really connecting this to a
Like
people in
nobody.
exile.
Just you and me.
Just yeah.
Yeah.
But for a people in exile, a people in wilderness, a people in desert, it's reminding them that the way of the Lord is going to be
Yeah.
made in that
Right,
desolate,
right,
wild place,
right,
which again says something to anything happening in our lives, in our
right.
world. But I just love the little nuance of like, no, 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 no. It's not about a voice who's speaking from the wilderness. The voice is talking about something that's happening in that wild, desolate
Mhm.
place of destruction and despair. And that's where this whole thing comes from. Oh, yeah, Bible geek rant over.
No, that's great. I mean, because that is such a comfort. I mean, that is the comfort.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that is the comfort.
yeah. Well, I hope everyone finds a little comfort, maybe from this video or from this season or from this coming Sunday. I think you'll find it if you come with us on Sunday. So whether you are in the building or online, we hope to have you join us. Worship begins right around 11 a.m. You can find us over in the Upper West Side, West Harlem, or just go to trcnyc.org and you can click whatever you need to click to make the video start happening. And it's going to be a good one. It always is.
It
It's such
always
a.
is.
Your sermons are great,
I
but
would
the
say it's
kids.
extra special with the kids. It just
Yeah,
is. I mean,
exactly.
that's Christmas, right? It's about a baby, and then we've got all the Riverside babies coming
Yep.
to show us the way and
Yep.
to remind us that we are God's babies as well.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, leave us your questions, comments, all your thoughts on this passage and all these things we've talked about: Bible in a Minute, Christmas pageant, Isaiah, comfort, everything, everything. And we'll be back again next week. We got Advent 3, and then Advent 4 is on Christmas Eve. So that's this crazy little mashup of liturgical calendar. We'll get to that in a minute. But for now, go binge watch Bible in a Minute and leave us a comment. We'll talk with you next time.